Like a fraud questionnaire or anything today?
Today, if I got it today, I don't know.
Okay.
Because I've been on the road.
I think he sent one to you and Marty and the mayor. And
Okay.
if you could take a look at that and get a chance and send them back to him.
I will, except for I can't get my iPad to come on.
I would say it's a fillable PDF maybe.
Okay.
I would think. Yeah, he said he's right. That's somebody you didn't know.
Okay.
I don't think I can work too. He said to me.
Well, sit right there. You're gonna sit up there beside the mayor.
Hi guys, how's everybody? Hi. Well, this is Elliot. This is our city council. Remember I told you how there's 6 of them that are elected besides Mayor Gregory? This is Elliot. He's been a pen pal with Mayor Gregory's for the past, how many times? Couple of months. So they write back and forth. So Elliot is in the 3rd grade. His mom homeschools him and he is mayor for the day here with Mayor Gregory. He's taking a tour of City Hall. And so you're gonna sit up here with these guys and go over decisions. There you can go right there with Mr. Mayor Gregory.
Elliot.
Oh, look, Elliot, did you see your name is right here? Look here.
You can sit right here. Okay. So did you meet these people? Move over just a little bit so we don't push them off the table there.
Listen, if it gets too long, here's what you do.
When we start the meeting, you're going to hit that, okay? You'll be the first one that ever had.
There's your, there you go, Mayor.
All right, we got to put this pin on you too, okay? It makes you official. Elliot wrote me a letter, a month or so ago, saying how good a job he thought we were doing in the city, and wanted to know if he could come for a visit and see what all we do. I've explained to him what my role is and what your all's role is and what other people's roles are.
Were you smiling next to the building for a second?
Yeah, smile now.
What school do you go to, Elliot?
He's Remember I told you that we have a legislative body that makes all the decisions and it's my job to go out and administer what they tell us that they want to happen? This is the legislative body. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're really official before the pen.
Alright. So you got a pen like the rest of us.
Right. Official city employee now.
Is that me? Or you?
We put this on.
Can you read that?
My stuff here.
Recognition and proclamation. So I'm gonna sign it, okay? I'm gonna put it in this folder. And so what we'll do is I'll open the meeting and welcome everybody. I'll have you get the gavel first and then I'll welcome everybody. And then we'll ask, who's up today? I mean, we'll ask Councilman Fulkerson, who's going to sit right beside you, to say the prayer. And then when he gets done with the prayer, I'm going to ask everybody to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And when I do that, all you got to do is you got to talk a little louder. Start saying it, and everybody will jump in. Okay? We got to turn and face the flag over there, and then we'll start saying it. And then I'm going to introduce you to the people out here in the audience. And then we're going to have the Christmas in the Park poster contest winners, and they'll all come up front with their posters. We just kind of hang out, and then we walk in front of them and shake their hand and tell them how good a job they did. And then we're going to have an update from our finance director, Jeff Hawkins, who you met, and Joe Rip. And then we'll have a couple of announcements, and then we're going to have to go close session real quick to talk about some property, which you don't have to do, and you all can head out there if you want. Okay? And if you get bored, just elbow me. You can go sit with your parents. It's all right.
Hello? Mayor.
James Turkey.
Mayor.
This is Elliot. Mayor Elliot.
Hello, James.
I'll be right back. Mr. Tony will watch you.
Slam that hammer down. Just go wham, 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 wham. Just take it, boom, boom, boom. That's all. Councilman Fulkerson, come just take that hammer and just hit it on the knee.
Ain't talking about month was you born?
This one. This one.
When's your birthday?
23rd.
You were born in 59, right? 58.
I'm a Thanksgiving.
I was an election that's long when it's like tonight, my grandmother ran for PBA in Grayson County. My bad, I grabbed the wrong jacket.
He's over there.
Back there.
He's over there hammering out the figures.
He's back there talking finances.
Oh, he got rid of the chains. He didn't like church anymore.
He's moving on, right? It's amazing.
Take that hammer and when he sits down next to you, you just whack it on the side.
Hey, listen, can I sit next to you? I'm Marty Folks. I'm glad you're here. That Jeff Gregory needs some help. You do a good job, okay? Keep him in line. Don't let him get out of line.
I told Ellie I'm gonna put him beside the troublemaker, try to keep him in line.
How come he's not worried about Tony?
You know why. Prayer ready there, boss. Marty.
You got a prayer ready?
We're gonna work on one. We'll work on one.
You got about a minute and a half.
Chris.
Oh, mine did the same thing.
Did it?
Yeah.
Is that like this already? Is that an update or something?
Yeah.
Way to go. Get here at 2 minutes.
be here.
Are you going to be on time too? He does. Yeah.
Same as everybody else.
They made you close to them. Then you'll know what's going on. You'll follow.
Hey, Mayor, can I get a picture of you all? Just text you. I was getting financial.
You look at the camera.
Look up at the sky.
There we go. Perfect, thank you.
Jeremy.
You ready? All right, let's go. Bang that gavel 3 times. Second coming to me. Do that. Yes, say it back. All right.
I don't think so at all.
All right, stand up.
Slam it.
You don't have to slam it. Don't let the, that's why I put you over here. Tell me that influence. All right, ready? Go ahead.
There you go.
Welcome everyone to Elizabethtown City Council regular meeting for November 10th, 2025. And I'd like to ask Councilman Marty Fulkerson if he'd lead us in the invocation, please.
Let's pray. Father, we come with grateful hearts to live in this community that is so giving. Father, we're just so blessed that in times of needs that this community steps up. We're blessed to have employees that will stand in the rain and the thunder to help those that needed food. And for this community that recognizes the needs and rises to the occasion each and every time. We're so thankful for that. And Father, we realize that we're able to do it because we are a blessed community. And we thank you for those blessings. And God, as we are in this holiday season, our prayer is that that never stops. That we will continue to rise and meet the needs of those of our fellow citizens in each and every need that we can. And Father, we thank you for those men and women that wear the logo. For not only the pride that they do and they take in their job as they serve our citizens each and every day, but when called upon, they'll go the extra mile, God, to help lift those in need. And may we be a community about giving because we've been given so much. Father, be with us during this meeting, that all we do brings you glory. And in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Go ahead and start. Loud.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Say stand up just a second. So before we sit down, I want to introduce a special guest. This is Elliot Hornback, and Elliot is a homeschool third grader, and he has been my pen pal for the last 4 or 5 weeks or so. He sent me a letter and he thanked us for all the work that we do in the city of Elizabethtown, and I appreciated that, so I wrote him a letter back, and then he wrote me a letter back, and he asked if he could come for a visit one day, and I said, sure, why don't you come on a Monday when we have a city council meeting, and you can be mayor pro tem or mayor for a day. And so Elliot is helping us with our meeting tonight, so we're very proud to have him, and I appreciate him reaching out and having interest in what we do as a community, especially as a third grader. I thought that was pretty impressive, so he's going to hang out with us tonight, and we're glad to have him. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Beth Piles and Priscilla to tell us about our poster contest tonight.
As you all have noticed, we have some guests joining us tonight, and we are so excited to have them. This is an annual event that goes back many, many years. I know my children participated in it when they were younger, but the Christmas in the Park poster contest is a fantastic event that we do each year. I think we had 8 schools represented in entries, which is fantastic, and I think we had close to 65 entries. So the competition was stiff. And we've got some fantastic winners with us today. We also want to thank our local financial institutions that support us by providing the prizes for our winners. And so not only have they been chosen as winners, and they'll get a prize from the banks that represent our community, they'll also get a preview pass to come through Christmas in the Park a day before everyone else. And that is a coveted prize because not very many people get to see what everyone else is anxiously awaiting. So without further ado, we'll introduce our winners. So this year, our kindergarten winner is Thomas Crowder from GC Burkhead, and his financial representative from German American Bank will present his award. So if you'll just walk up front and stand in front of the blue tablecloth, we'll get your picture taken. And we're going to let all of you guys stand there, so if you'll go all the way to the end of the table. Our first grade winner is Olivia Mary from GC Burkhead, and her financial institution is Abound Credit Union. Our second grade winner is Carter Bruce from GC Burkhead, and Magnolia Bank is his sponsoring bank. So our third grade winner is Kennedy Alsip from Cecilia Valley, and with her is Jeff Blair from Wilson and Muir Bank. Fourth grade is Logan Turner from Lakewood Elementary, and his sponsoring bank is the Sicilian Bank. And Seth is standing in today. Our Park and Rec Department head will stand in for Sicilian Bank. And then fifth grade is Alina Stoltz from Morningside, and her sponsoring bank is Kim Douglas with West Banco. So as you can see, I mean, these are just fantastic. I just can't, you'd just be amazed. So all of these posters will be put on display at the sponsoring banks for the month of, the rest of November and for December. And we just appreciate all of the hard work that went into that.
We had a picture of you guys for the council. We all stand up now.
Yep, stand up.
We're going to put this mayor across the table. Right?
Yeah, there we go. Are you ready?
These are the
One,
way.
2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you all so much.
Great work, guys.
And if you'll just follow Miss Priscilla over there, she'll lead you guys out into the lobby.
Good work, Trinity.
Did you help color in the line?
All right.
Before I leave the podium, because I might not see you all for a while because it's Christmas, I just want to remind everybody, we've got a lot of Christmas events coming up. The 35th Annual Christmas in the Park, which we just had the poster contest winners here for, opens on Wednesday, November 26th, and that will run nightly from 6 to 11. This year we have over 115 displays from not only the city of Elizabethtown, but many local community partners. And you will be surprised, we've got a lot of new displays and a lot of new businesses have joined in. The Light Up E-Town Parade and tree lighting is December 5th. That has become a fun annual event and a great way to kick off the holiday season. We will step off at 7 p.m. and it's our backwards parade. So we'll be coming from St. John Road, and Santa will take up the rear of the parade, and he and Mayor Gregory will light the Christmas tree when they come to downtown E-Town. That is probably one of the best luck traditions and the ones that we get a lot of calls from. I think it's one of those traditions that have surpassed not only our community, because we get a lot of people that come from around the area to witness that. Breakfast with Santa at the State Theater. Tickets are on sale now. You can purchase those at thestate270.org. That is Saturday, December 6th. And we are bringing back our Santa House again for, I think this is our third year since we revived it. That will be December 6th and 7th from 4 to 7, and December 13th from 2 to 4, December 14th from 4 to 6. So come downtown. Santa will be in his house on Walker Square. It is completely free and open to everyone. I know the mall is undergoing some renovations, and that was kind of the traditional place where everyone got to take their picture taken with Santa. So Santa is joining us for those 2 weekends for folks to come down, take their own pictures, and just spread some Christmas cheer. We've got a lot of stuff going on at the State Theater with movies, as well as the Holly Jolly Experience from Parks and Rec Department, which leads off from this location. So if you need any information, you can always go to etownevents.com.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Elliot, Up next is Jeff Hawkins, who is our Director of Finance, who's going to give us an update on our finance department. This isn't as fun as Christmas in the park. Jeff might think it is.
This is just Christmas.
I gotta see what I'm looking at here. Good afternoon, everybody. Special welcome to Mayor Elliott. Y'all don't know this, but we had a conversation earlier, and he promised to give me a raise because.
We'll go closed session to discuss it.
Okay. Today I'm going to give you an update on the finance department. Typically, I've come in here and I've just gone over numbers with you, and y'all can read the numbers and y'all know what we're looking at. And we're kind of early in the year, so I thought I'd do it a little bit differently this year. I want to give you more of a talk about our department and what's going on. So. Bear with me one second. Okay. Typically, all year long, as department heads get up here, what do? They bombard the parking lot with trucks and fire engines and stuff like that.
To Don Hill.
No.
So you're going to be.
Yeah. Well, I thought about doing that too, but I thought finance can't really do that because honestly, if I bring a laptop in here and set it in the parking lot, or a floor scrubber, or an aerial read meter, even my old 1920 or 2021 Jeep, it's not going to look too impressive. So I didn't do that. But what I can say is whether it's a fire truck, police car, dump truck, electric mower, or if Jeremy one day does get his Corvette, one thing I can say is they're all bought with funds collected by the finance department. So we technically have made sure all that comes into play. So I did want to show some numbers. Cash is one that everybody's always interested in. So these are the 9/30 balances. We didn't have October quite ready, but as you can see right now, everything is up. Gas fund is a little bit up. They're still relatively flat. Restricted funds are those funds that we collect, like your employee benefit trust, the insurance premiums. Those are all restricted until they get moved over into the general fund. So right now everything's looking good. Sewer fund, you can see the impact of the higher rates that we did. I hate to say higher rates because a lot of people have not been too happy with those, but I don't think that's us. I think it's usage. But general fund's looking good. We did finally start replenishing from our bonds that we issued for the fire station and a little bit for the PD, but also for the outdoor music venue. We had been paying those out of general fund, and now we have started paying ourselves back. And here's the debt schedules. Nothing has really changed on those except for maybe the bottom two lines. You can see we have added the police and fire station 4, or bond number 4 there. Got the payment in there. We also have the outdoor music venue bonds. That payment on the far right column, $2.5 million, $1 million of that is the city, and the rest is going to be paid by tourism. I just want to give you a quick update on our organization chart. This is where we are currently. We have a current staff right now, 21, approved for 23. You can see we have 2 open positions that we haven't filled, and we're trying to avoid filling them if at all possible. The key thing here is you can see the item, or the people that are in blue are probably retirements within the next 1.5 to 2 years, if not sooner. David Evans is retiring at the end of the year. Kim Compton and Tim Reynolds are either August or next August. And Cheryl, our treasurer, is going to be August of 27. So we're going to start planning now, probably next budget, especially for Cheryl's position. We may use that open position as a way to hire somebody to get them trained, but probably not backfill that position, because her position will take some time to train. Okay, I wanted to show you some 10-year comparisons. A lot of times we do look back and say, okay, where were we back then, where are we now? So if you look at that, 2015 we were collecting $13.6 million in occupational. Last year, 33.2, increase of almost $20 million. Net profits, we had gone from 2.3 to 6.8, 6.9, increase of 4.5. Some of that's related to the increase in the tax rate. A A lot of this is due to growth. As you can see by the business licenses, we've gone from just under 4,000 to almost 6,000 business licenses. That's a lot. What I'm most proud of is our staff. We had 3 back then, we got 3 now. You know, you get the right people, you get the right technology, it makes it a lot easier to take care of the business. Restaurant tax, hotel tax, insurance, premiums tax. They're all the same way. You can see the growth that we've had in those. Restaurant tax the last couple of years has kind of leveled off a little bit. With all the new restaurants we say we're getting, and maybe the people, you may see that go up again. But you can see we've gone from 6.9 million to 13.4. So a huge increase, $6.5 million in a 10-year span. Again, one person back then, one person right now. City staff. As you can see, we've gone from 300 in 2015 to 367 last year. These are budgeted numbers. And the salaries have almost doubled in that time. Back in 2015, we also had 11 of those people worked at the sports park and 18 within the water department. So they've now been gone. So we've changed those out with full-time employees. One person does all that. Lamar knows her well, so it's Barb. I say all this with the number of people. I just want to let you know that we made a choice back then, back in 2015, to start leveraging technology. When I came in, it was a lot of manual work, a lot of tedious. We had old computers, old softwares, and it kind of made us all feel like this a little bit. You know, we're just kind of going through the motions, old equipment. I was going to say that was Diana originally, but she might get mad at me. But through our technology improvements, we have been able to get a lot more efficient. Utility office, same situation. Back in 2015, we had 7 in the office. Now we have 5. And our customer service, which was our meter readers, we had 8, and now we're down to 4. And we have not dropped one bit in the quality of our service that we can do. We did sell the water department, and we outsourced sewer billing, but Springbrook has really helped us a whole lot improve our technology. They're not keying in the readings like they used to be. And through our aerial read program, they're not walking to every single house like we used to do. So those have really helped us. And our custodial staff, back in 2022, we kind of did a little swap. IT went to the PD, and the custodial staff came to finance. It's totally new to me. I didn't know anything about it. But we currently have, in my department, we have 3. We have Vaughn, she's a supervisor, Don at City Hall, and John Powell at Public Works. We had one at PD, but she transferred into a records clerk position, and the person that we hired is actually Yvonne's husband. So basically, due to the city policies, they both can't report to me. The same employees can't report. Husband and wife cannot report to the same department head. So John is his name. He now reports to Jeremy in PD. We also have basically 1.5. We have Jack Luttrell and Dave Berry at the theater, so they take care of all those buildings. Both of those report to Beth. And to me, it's kind of amazing. You all know what our campuses look like. It's a lot of work, and for one person to handle all those buildings, I don't know how they do it. I think they've got to have help somehow. But they all do a great job, and we appreciate everything that they do. And they're also willing to, if one's out sick, they rotate buildings. So we do appreciate all the work. Okay, current projects. As you all have requested, we did send an RFP out for banking services. That was mailed out on October 31st, and we've asked for them to be submitted back to us by 12/31. They were sent to all the local banks with the exception of one, and the reason being is the one that we did not send it to was Woodforest out in Walmart's lobby or that little kiosk area. And we just didn't feel like they were really capable with who they have in town to handle our business. But they were all sent to all these different banks. I'll be honest, I didn't know all the presidents of each location, so if I didn't know the person, I just put it to branch manager. But I knew several of the presidents, and they were addressed directly to that person. The goal, when that comes back, is to hopefully do evaluations the first quarter next year, and then make our decision. It's not going to be an overnight change if we do change banks. It's going to take a while. We can move to a new bank if we do make a change somewhat quickly, but we cannot close out for it could be a year, because we're going to have outstanding checks, we're going to have money that still comes in. You just got to make sure you have all that encompassed before you actually close out any form of bank.
We don't leave checks outstanding for more than a year, Kelly.
No, but there's things that we could be writing, and there's also funds that we get from like state agencies, federal agencies. We get seizure money that just shows up in our bank, and we don't necessarily know where it's coming from until it shows up. So we want to have time to be able to get some of that money in to know where it's coming from, so we can notify the agency or whatever of the new change of things. And it affects payroll. All the payrolls have to change. Now, we don't leave checks outstanding that long. Okay, our new website, as I've talked about before, through the new website, we already have the capability to do online forms. We're going to try to put all tax forms on there, business license. We want to be able to allow the businesses to pay their taxes, submit their business license and everything, and make their payment online. Everybody's been wanting that, and we want it too. You just got to do it right, because we do have to have a credit card fee assessed with that. So we want to make sure we capture all their information. We can't just take a payment online and call it good. We have to know where it's coming from. We have to collect all the data that we want to collect. But through the new website, that's what we're hoping to do. We've seen the demos of it, and we think it's going to work just fine. We'd like to have an online employment application. We noticed this past week, actually, somebody called in on the current website. Somebody had gone in and filled out the job application online, and then somebody else came back behind them later, and all that first person's information was still out there in the form. Somehow it's saved. Should never happen. I call it Google Docs. I don't know. We are coming up on our medical insurance renewal. I think when I last spoke to you, we were talking about some potentially very high renewal rates for our stop loss. Those we think are going to take care of themselves. I think there's one still going to be out there possibly, but we do think they're going to come in at either completely removed or much lower than what we're expecting. I think we're going to see a slight increase, like minor, but nothing compared to, all you hear about is the cost of healthcare going up. Our renewals are still going to come in pretty favorable.
When you explain to us what you mean by saying insurance is renewable, does that mean that policy is renewable? Or this is just a rate adjustment within a current policy that we...
Well, every year, every year we go through our process of getting our new renewal. Anthem comes up, and like our broker talks to Anthem, and they look at it and they come back and say, okay, you might have a slight tick up in this. It could be an admin cost. It could be something else. USI's rate's not changing. It's always been the same. But there could be something that comes up. And
my question is it an opportunity for us to bid that?
Well, I understand you all want to bid it, but we have a contract, 2 more years? Ed?
Well, that's what I'm asking. We have a contract or we don't, and I don't understand when you say it's renewable, what that means.
Our contract is with USI for their service.
Okay.
And every year, they do go back and they look at, is there another carrier out there that could come in and do it better? And from what they've looked at, the one we currently have, Anthem, has been our best option for us. That can handle all of our needs and everything. And again, stop losses for those claims that are extremely high. They look at history and things like that in the past, and they did laser out. I always say less than 5, because that's what we try to be correct. But we think those are going to come in favorable, a lot better than what I showed you, which was a potentially of $2.5 million, I think it was, over all of them.
So, but on the base premium rate for that renewal though, it's minor increase, they're saying?
Yes. Yeah, we're not going to say like a huge, like a 20%. It could be 3-4%, I think is what we were talking about. We were supposed to meet with them, I think, 2 weeks, yeah, and I think that has to be moved. But we feel pretty comfortable where we're at. And again, it's all based on claims. You could look at it, you could have a perfect year, no claims at all, and you may see maybe, I don't think you're going to see a decrease, but you may not see any kind of increase. And then immediately you get hit with surgery, or disease or something. It's kind of it's a shot in the dark. You just don't know what's going to happen with it. And we did, if you remember, we did up our contribution that the city puts in. It was $700, I think, and I think we upped it to, I think it was $10,000 a person is what it came out to be. And we lowered it because we were expecting those lasers to come out. The audit, essentially the fieldwork's complete. We feel like we had a good audit again. Learning a new auditor is a little bit different because they do things a little bit differently. Before, it was like, we know what they were going to ask before they even asked it. Now, so we're having to learn things a little bit. Not expecting any major issues. There'll be some adjustments, there always are. The one thing that's new to us is how RFH looks at grants. There are some GASB, which is Government Accounting Standards Board's pronouncements that say how they think revenue should be handled. What they say is that you get a grant award, you recognize it as revenue right then. We've never done that. So,
You don't have it.
take for instance, some of Melissa's grants, the block grants. You might get awarded in year 2000, but we don't draw it down until 2020. According to what Gaz was saying, we should have recognized it as a revenue back then. We may have some adjustments on that. I'm just telling you ahead of time, that was all new to us. Our prior auditor never said anything like that, but that could happen. And if it does, we know now we can go forward to be doing it the right way or the way they want us to do it.
Does that include like the highway funds, like the 11 million or 13 million? I mean, that we were told 2 years ago that we're
For all
getting.
grants.
Yeah, it could for all grants. Mhm. It's more important
Federal
for
government.
Yeah, and again, it's more important for federal grants because you exceed a maximum amount or minimum amount of grant revenue, then you got to have a single audit. So I think last year we didn't have that, but had we recognized a grant, like they say, it would have kicked us into that single audit, which is a little bit more work, but it's more work on the grant side. So we're learning as they're learning on that same process. There are things we push back on like that. We don't think we should recognize revenue 10 years before we actually get the money. So that's why they're looking at it again, and they understand our point of view. They're looking at it from, it's kind of like Ken would say, the law says this, you have to do it this way. I agree with you, but so we're waiting to see if that's going to work or not. They are hoping to be here and present to you before the end of the year. Tourism has just started their audit, so it may not be until January again before we get the final numbers. And I don't say too much about this other than the contract is up at the end of the year, and you'll have to decide, do we keep going or do we not? And that's pretty much all I have. I appreciate everything you'll do for all of us in this room and for the city and all the support we get. And the last thing I'd like to do is just close with this. Steve Park passed away last week, or November 5th. Steve was the finance director before I came on. And he was here for 32 years, and we didn't work together a whole lot, but what we did, I learned a lot, and I know a lot of you did work with him and really had good things to say about Steve, and he's one reason we are in the shape we are today. So I'll give him whole credit on that. I like the quote he said one time. He came in as finance director, worked 32 years, and he said he never got a promotion. So, I think it's pretty
Couldn't find anywhere else to put it. Right, Ed?
But I felt it was appropriate for me to say something about that today, given that it's Finance Day. So
Trust me.
I appreciate all what you do. If you have any questions for me?
I will just comment on Steve. He was the tightest person in the world. He treated the city's finances like they were his own. And we did not have a reserve balance until Steve became and got in there, and he was tight. And he is the one that came up with the garbage can theory of finance, which you will not find in any accounting or CPA courses. It made sense.
And I will say, 2 or 3 times a year, I still hear, well, Steve did it like this, or Steve said this. I was like, okay. So,
Thank you, Jeff.
appreciate it.
Good job. Elliot, thought Mr. Hawkins was born, wait till this next guy comes in.
Jeff, one other thing for your full-time head count, you have over there the general sewer, natural gas, where we have 350, and you've got public safety of 165. Shouldn't those numbers be combined for our employees?
Well, you're talking about that on dashboard?
Yes.
Yes. The numbers on the left include the ones on the right.
Okay.
The reason I put the ones on the right are because, it's your police officers, your dispatch, and your firemen. A lot of people like to know those separate. They are included. They're just broken out separately, so you can see that.
I thought you did in honor of Steve Park, because he used to say that's the most expensive part of the city.
And I could say that. Jeremy and Mark aren't here, so I could say whatever I want.
Thanks, Jeff. Up next, we have Joe Reverman, who is our Director of Planning and Development, and he's going to speak to us about the Nicholas Street Master Plan.
Hi. Yeah, so you had the first reading on a zoning map amendment last week for Oak Hills development on Nicholas Street. So just to talk a little bit about that zoning map amendment, because it's a little bit different from most of them that you see. The planned development district, zoning district that was requested with that is the new zoning district that was added to our zoning ordinance in August when we updated our residential development regulations. And so what that does is it's not just a zoning map amendment with that request, it's also a master plan approval. So the master plan in this case kind of sets forth the development standards within that development in that zoning district. So for land uses, setbacks, building designs, site design standards, locational parking, all those types of things, this master plan sets out all those standards. And so this is different from a standard zoning district because the master plan with this PDD does apply only to this development. So with a typical zoning district map amendment, what you have is someone requesting to rezone their property to a zoning district, say to C3, whereas that C3 regulation applies to all C3 properties within the city. So when someone requests this planned development district, they adopt their own regulations in essence. So the city council in this case is not just changing the zoning of a property, they're also adopting the regulations for that specific property. And so the master plan that you see is also going to be adopted by the city council if they choose to zone that property to planned development district. So with the master plan for this specific development, again, that would only apply to Oak Hills over there on Nicholas Street. What's proposed in that is that it separates the site into 5 different use areas. So each use area sets forth permitted uses, open space requirements, dimensional standards such as building setbacks. Plan also sets out standards applicable to the entire development for streetscape, signage, landscaping, lighting, and then finally the plan sets out administrative procedures for future amendments to the master plan. So there's different, just like other development proposals, there's different levels of changes they could request in the future that maybe staff could handle, that maybe the planning commission could handle, or that may be significant enough that would justify it coming back to city council for approval. And so the plan that they're proposing calls for 594 total housing units across 3 sections. That includes single-family houses, duplexes, townhomes, and multi-family units. It also includes a small commercial section along Nicholas Street and approximately 22 acres of open space along Valley Creek. Again, the main difference with this one to keep in mind is that master plan is a written document of standards applicable only to this development. It won't apply to any other development or property in the city. And the city council would need to consider that master plan along with the zoning map amendment when you look at taking action next week. And I can talk about more details of that plan if you have questions or the process in general, but that's kind of a high overview of the PDD district regulation as well as the Oak Hills development.
Questions? Very good. Thank you. Okay, we're going to open it up for public comments. Mr. Deacock? You're fine.
I'm Phil Deacoff, resident of E-Town for 50 years. And I think your family's been residents for
64.
64 years.
In the current house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometime in the past, we had brought to the attention of the council a development or a concern of 3 acres that sits behind our homes on Pawnee Drive. Now, we know that closer to French Street, we have a large development there, but there was 3 acres that was undeveloped at the time. But also there had been a proposal that I think was brought before the council, but not a plan. And so at that time, we had submitted a letter of concern that was drafted up, and I'd like to read but also update what was written at that particular time, and that was back in December 10th of last year when we brought that to the council's matter. A lot has developed in that time, especially within the past 3 weeks, which brings a concern to us as the residents that are backed up to that. But multiple residents of our area on Pawnee Drive became aware of a commercial proposal to build a new construction of business. That was last year, a parking lot and a road traveling from Ring Road into the new construction behind our homes in a small rectangular area of 3 acres. There's also knowledge of the city giving the okay for a residence inn that is now being built, and I can hear the hammering continuing to go on somewhere near the area where the Window World is located and across the street from where Elizabethtown Swim and Fitness Center is located, or the past E-Town Fitness Center. Not to mention that E-Town Swim and Center is rumored to be shutting its doors for good. Well, we know that has taken place as well. The proposal alone has already created a lot of anxiety from the affected residents for multiple reasons. Many of these residents have lived here for many decades, such as we have, and the same privacy concern they have that we also have. The privacy and security is now in danger of a possible proposal to develop that into a commercial, some type of commercial area. Many of the residents have complained to us and have complained about the noise that was already taking place in the area. For instance, with the Window World in the middle of the night crashing their glass into semi-trucks. But
the semi-trucks was sitting there all night.
Sitting all night is
sitting all night and running the engine.
Yeah. Which brings to a point that it was heard by Karen more than it was by me, because there was more of a buffer of trees in between, which would bring us up to date and say that that buffer is now, as of this morning, is totally gone. I was hoping that there would be at least 12 feet, 20 feet or so from the property line, but they have taken all the trees up to the property line without leaving any kind of buffer zone that there's there. And in addition to that, will be affected and have been affected by some of the bright lights, and that's located actually behind our homes. Now, I brought to the attention of Jeff that changes are made and the city makes a change. But sometimes what we're asking is that there would be a proposal, if the building plans come be up to Joe and Joe's consideration, your consideration, to take in account the privacy and the security. We've had security reasons by people wanting to go from the neighborhood and just crossing across our property line to get to Kroger's. And now, without a buffer of any sort whatsoever and a commercial development there, we anticipate that there'll be continued security problems in that particular area, especially also with the development of the condos. But we can't stop progress, but I think we can be very considerate of progress. It's quite a long letter that was drafted. I'll try to shorten as much as I possibly can. Also, the development of businesses, it is currently zoned as C3. C3. With that, we don't know what's coming in. And I have tried to walk through or read through the zoning and planning guidelines, and it's very hard to do to see what the zoning of C3 could bring about. But I know it wouldn't be conducive to the residential area that there is now, that we have at the present time. Also, the proposed construction could possibly bring about more safety concerns for children. It already has brought about concerns with the development of the condos that are further up on Pawnee towards French Street. And I'm talking about our pro tem mayor that we have. We have some small ones in our community also. We have a speed limit sign on Pawnee, but it's not adhered to. And so they're going to continue to cut through there, whether there's construction that goes on French Street or whether they just want to make a cut through. And that has proposed a safety concern for those residents that have children as well. So all this is leading up to if a particular type of construction that is within the approval of a C3 zoning area is brought about. We can anticipate not only for us, the property homes possibly declining, but also the safety concerns that it brings about as far as the city is concerned. And I have talked to some of our patrolmen about that. They are also aware, and they do make some trips through there as far as the traffic that's concerning. And they have had some calls as far as the sealing and breaking into vehicles. And I don't own a Hyundai, by the way, so don't send them my way. But there has been in the near neighborhood vehicle, I think in the last couple nights or so, that has been sold. So it's a security issue that we have. What else is there? I guess the other thing is the flooding. The drain that goes between my particular house, which is right on the corner of makes a dog leg, and the next house that lives on me is a drainage ditch, a major drainage ditch for probably about a third of Pawnee Drive. And when there's a real gully washer that comes about, it does overflow and comes onto my property. So that drains, currently it's draining off into that property, into that 3 acres. That, of course, is their problem to how they're going to contain it, but it also becomes the city's property and Joe's concern as to how to best contain that, because we have had that area to flood in the past. It has flooded. And they have protected the creek that goes between that area, which I think is mandated that creek would be protected. But it also is a flooding zone. If that's not properly corrected by whoever is going to submit a plan, that can create flooding problems. It also, with the trees having been totally taken down up to the property lines between our homes, there's going to be some erosion problems unless they have a buffer. How that planning and zoning reads, I'm not sure, but I think that you have within the plans, there has to be a buffer between there. So we're just bringing that to your attention to actually consider that as well.
Joe, not to put you on the spot, but can you speak to that piece of property?
Joe's has visited with us.
And I guess my question would be, in the planning commission, did they talk about buffering in that?
So someone has approached us a year or so ago about development of the property. They've not formally submitted any proposals for that. It was a conceptual plan that they were just looking for general feedback about setbacks and stormwater issues. But we don't have anything formal. I shared that with Karen just in the interest of transparency, because they were aware that someone was looking at developing it, and so I was just letting them know that yes, someone has approached us and talked to us. They still have not submitted anything to us to date.
But at the planning commission level, we can request that there's buffering.
Yes, there's a buffer required. The property's zoned commercial, their property's obviously residential, so there is a minimum buffer. It's typically at least 20 feet, and it requires a screen and tree plantings. The Planning Commission can consider potentially increased screening or buffering requirements when they review the development plan, given specific circumstances of what's being proposed.
But it's premature now because we don't have a development plan.
Correct. And to my knowledge, we've not been contacted in the last, at least this calendar year, I believe, about any development of the property.
Is it about 3 acres? Is that what you said, Mr. Rico?
It's 3.5.
So basically, they've just started cleaning off the property at this point?
And that's typical when someone's looking to develop a property. Many times they'll clear the property and kind of get its site ready for some type of development. And so they work with Rita's stormwater department to make sure they're not impacting negatively streams or adjacent properties.
And Rita, not to put you on the spot, but I know we talked about it a minute this morning. Can you talk a little bit to the drainage over there and what you all are seeing? If there's any remediation that we need to do?
Yeah, so there is a creek that runs through there. Without having a development to review, I can't really say what's going to happen with that. We did require the 25-foot buffer from top of bank when they came in to request their tree clearing permit. So that has been regulated, but as far as the drainage and what's going to happen, I'd have to have plans and, I'd have to have the plans and engineering calculations to kind of show what their intent is to get that drainage through their property and make sure that they're not impacting other properties when they do so. So that'd be something we'd be reviewing once we get a development plan.
Have you looked at that drain that Mr. Dekoff was talking about by his house? Is that adequate? I know, when you get a downpour.
So to my knowledge, that's not causing any type of actual flooding of structures. That will just occasionally come up out of the banks a little bit and flow down in between the properties. So we're not seeing that as a major stormwater issue unless you can say that it's causing major damage or anything.
It's gone into his pool.
It has gone actually into my pool at once. And
When was
another
that?
time-
Was that recent?
No,
Okay.
it's been several years ago, but it also overflows and goes into my back shed, goes through the back. So actually, it's not deep enough at the end towards that property that's being sold, and it's eroded. So what they're gonna do, the ditch ends there and then it has eroded down into that 3 acres.
Okay, so the erosion would probably be taken care of with the development. We can take a look at that again. I know we had looked at it at one point in time and didn't feel like there was a whole lot of action that we needed to do at that point in time, but we can look at it and see if there's anything that needs to happen, so.
So to sum it up, we're waiting on development before we can really take action and do design and figure out how to get both of these people some relief. Yes.
There's five houses that are affected by this.
Sure.
Have we talked to Window World about the glass crashing and stuff?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Has it gotten better?
It's a little better.
Okay.
It's a little better, but now we don't have trees.
I got you.
They cut down the trees or the leaves just
No, they cut them down.
Yeah, and we're here in the hotel now being built.
Because that's property off of development. But that's our point when we get to the planning commission side of things, we can make them put a buffer and come back in. I don't know, so I don't know why they do that. Okay,
So,
thanks.
okay, I've got a couple of
I'm
things.
talking Rita, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I've got a couple of things. So I'm Karen Macy, I live on Pawnee Drive. According to KRS 224.30-100, excessive noise is a serious hazard to the public health and welfare and the quality of life. Each person has a right to an environment free from noise that jeopardizes the health or welfare and degrades the quality of life or lowers property value. It is the policy of the state to promote an environment for all people free from noise that jeopardizes the health, welfare, or degrades the quality of life. Okay, and then almost 4 years, I've been dealing with this noise for almost 4 years. So back in April of '22, I wrote to the mayor and the council. Of course, 3 of them are no longer here. Okay, so I had a couple that responded, and so I'm going to read the one that responded the most, okay? So they said, I should have mentioned that E-Town doesn't have a nuisance ordinance or really a noise ordinance that is very helpful. I think the noise and lights would be less impactful once the trees between the properties have more leaves on them. In the meantime, the best course of action is for you all to go speak with the company. That probably will do. They probably do not realize that the noise and lights from the truck can be seen, heard, or all the way to the street. Having a conversation with the manager might be helpful, and hopefully they can make some changes that will make their business